What is the bigger challenge at the moment? Is it the rise in inflation, or is it the strength of the shekel?
Good morning, Yusuf. First of all, Israel has basically so far averted the fourth wave by taking initiative and doing the third booster early on. There's a little bit of a rise now in numbers, and we have to increase the number of booster shots. We are going into a program where we give the shots between ages 5 and 11. And so this is, again, a little bit of a rising risk, and we're seeing, again, what is happening in Europe. That's on the pandemic side. In terms of the economy, Israel has shown again and again that it has a dynamic, resilient economy. It bounces back from every time when there is a lockdown or a wave. We've managed to do the fourth wave without any major restriction, and so we're seeing very strong growth. We are seeing labor market that has improved, but at the tail end, we're seeing some difficulties returning to the levels of employment and unemployment that we had before. So that's a point to watch out, whether we are seeing some kind of a structural unemployment there. You mentioned the shekel. It has indeed appreciated. It reflects a lot of the strength of the economy that I've mentioned so far. Primarily, we're seeing large FDI, we're seeing exports still being strong, and due to the strong equity markets, we're seeing particular hedging by the institutional investors, and we will need to see down the road how much of these factors will continue on.
Governor, we'll get to that story in a moment in a bit more detail. What are the economic conditions the Monetary Policy Committee would like to see before considering to raise rates? Is that even a conversation you're having?
Well, we are obviously monitoring continuously the inflation issue. Just like many other central banks, we are watching both global factors and local factors. Israel, we have some kind of a luxury. Some have compared us to the Czech Republic and to Poland, but we are very different. Our inflation is nowhere near 5-6%. It is at 2.3%, at right around the center of our target. When you look at expectations of inflation, it's also within the target range. So we have the luxury to be patient, to observe as the data come in and see how transitory, that's our baseline analysis, is inflation. And according to the data, act as we see fit.
Governor, the shekel hit a 26-year high in the month of November. Is 3 shekels against the dollar a real possibility? And would you say that sort of realistically reflects the health of the economy?
I wouldn't want to get into a quoting of a particular number, this or that. What I would say is, what I've mentioned earlier is that the appreciation of the shekel reflects the strong economy and the continuous good performance of exports, the high-tech sector, and a particular segment that has happened this year is the very strong equity markets, in which case the institutional investors have had hedged their investments, and that also affected a lot of the appreciation. I want to say one thing about the appreciation of the shekel a bit from a longer perspective. The Bank of Israel's intervention over the years has had the policy of not changing the trend, but rather allow the Israeli economy to move basically from a manufacturing economy into the high-tech economy that we've had, the service economy. And we have done this successfully by allowing the appreciation to be gradual, to allow the economic agents to do this adjustment without any abruptions or disruptions, and through full employment. And in that sense, the intervention program over the long haul has been very, very successful. Coming up to this year, the 30
I mean, you talk about the $30 billion. I was going to follow up just to build on the point that you're making. Are you no longer going to provide any guidance on the amount that you're working with for these interventions going into 2022?
So that's a very good question. It's exactly where I was going, Yusuf. I'm saying the $30 billion quantity package that we've done was a unique program. One of many of the programs that we've done through the COVID crisis to support the economy. In particular, unique times where unemployment was double digits, there was no vaccination yet, huge uncertainty, and the program was designed to provide certainty in a particularly super high uncertain time with appreciation of the shekel. And I think that's what the program has provided. Now that we have exited the fourth wave successfully, assuming there's no major another wave here, we do not see a reason to go to and announce another quantitative program like we have. We are going, we said that. We are back into our discretionary type of intervention. We said the $30 billion yet is not an upper bound, and we will continue to act in the FX market according to the economic activity as needed.
I want to circle back to something you pointed out, and that was that the tech sector has been on a tear, and that partly explains the strength of the shekel. There's a thinking among some market participants that I've been speaking to that the Israeli economy finds itself in a Dutch disease kind of situation. As a central bank, are you looking at other policies that could help mitigate the impact over the longer term as the economy does this transition?
So, as you mentioned, the Israeli economy has the benefit of the high-tech sector be a locomotive engine. Essentially, we've become a powerhouse in that area. Some of the segments we're particularly good at, as cyber, digitization, medtech, have been particularly fortunate during the COVID crisis, and this is a good phenomena for the economy. And from the central bank's perspective, our job has been, as I mentioned, and we are always watchful for this, to allow the economy, as it still is moving through this transition from manufacturing into more and more services and high-tech sector, to allow us to do that. But the economy so far is performing well as we are seeing some of this appreciation happening.